Duke has a lot of momentum right now. Amazon announcement yesterday, boom boom earlier this week. Just great time to be a supporter of the Blue Devils. And I think rightfully so. This team's going to be awesome. I'm already regretting ranking them fifth on our preseason poll that Carter and I collaborated on before Boom Boom committed. We'll talk more about this because there's a tweet that caught my attention that would be pretty crazy if it came to fruition, comparing them to one of the best college basketball teams of our lifetimes, J-Man. But first, Duke's price on stakeholder sits at $5.21. It's basically flatlined here in the last 3 or 4 days. It surprises me. No big boom after the boom boom announcement. Are you surprised this didn't rise anymore?
Yes, I am. Like I said in the previous video, Duke fans, I need you to buy this because I'm right now in the red. We cannot have that. We cannot have that. I need this price to go up about 60 cents, but this is a buying price regardless because I think Duke's going to have a good year.
Yeah, I would buy at this price. I think Michigan sort of created separation in pricing on stakeholder last year, all the way up to $9, $2 more than everybody else. I think you could see that happen with Duke if this roster lives up to its very early expectation. If you want to play the college hoop stock market, there's a link in the description to try it out. You get $15 in free credit if you try out our link as a first-time user. Give it a chance. Okay, here's the tweet. Comes from an account that I think is literally a Kentucky fan. I could be wrong. He has University of Kentucky alum in his bio, but his name is Brett Marshall at bmarsh24 underscore. And I hope I'm not blowing up his spot or anything here. Because again, he's not a reporter or anything. He's just a Twitter account. But listen, I follow Ryan Hammer, and Ryan Hammer was tweeting about how loaded the Duke roster is. And when you engage with Ryan Hammer, I see your engagements, and that's what happened to Brett Marshall here. Hammer's original tweet has the depth chart. Says Duke's roster is absolutely loaded, insane front court of five guys who can all play with initial three as good as any in the nation. Shire has a damn squad again, easily top three preseason. 2 thumbs up, Hammer, good job. Brett Marshall quote tweeted it and said this. And again, this is a Kentucky alum tweeting this. Quote, Duke's first five off the bench are better than Kentucky's starting five. He is obviously talking about this year's team. An hour later, I saw a bigger account compare this Duke roster to Kentucky's platoon system back in 2015. I think we should focus on Brett's tweet here. Duke's bench versus Kentucky's current starting five. Which one are you taking, J-Man?
Yeah, first off, let's pump the brakes a little bit here with these takes because they're getting out of hand. But with that being said, give me Duke's bench -7.5, -8.5. I would take them. Again, pump the brakes on these hypotheticals, but I'm taking Duke's bench by double digits.
Pump the brakes, but give me the alt line.
Give me the alt line spread. And John Shire's the head coach, or are we going down the are we going down the bench for shits and giggles for like associate head coach is gonna go against Mark Pope or an assistant coach just for the hell of it?
We can go down the bench for the coaches too. That's fine by
All
me.
right, then I'll give him another point. So I guess -6.5, final line.
Can we define the bench first of all? Because
Yeah.
okay, you and I haven't really talked about the Duke roster since some of these additions. We were doing a bunch of videos early in the offseason, really up until Blackwell committed. And I think you and I did the Blackwell commitment together and didn't even really let that sink in. And a lot has even been added since then. Look, I know I have a reputation, I think, in general, as a Duke skeptic from time to time. I don't know if that's necessarily always earned or not. We put them fifth in our preseason poll pre Boom Boom ad, and I think I'm a huge fan of Boom J Boom J. I would probably bump them up at least 2 spots with him now in the fold. So I view this team somewhere in the top three as it currently sits. At the same time, the thing that to me is interesting about this team, you may disagree with it. It feels like there's only two guys that I am 100% sure will start for this team. Like Blackwell is here to start and potentially star. Big
Yes.
Pat is back to start and potentially star. I think we know that Caden Boozer's a starting point guard. I think we know Dame Sarr starting on the wing. But the reality is the difference between the third best player on this team and the 10th or 11th best player on this team just may not be that large. So if we're going to go down this hypothetical path where they're better than Kentucky's starting five right now, let's figure out who the bench actually is. Can you help me do that?
Yeah, I can help you do that. I can help you do that. So, I think again, and I'm getting ridiculed in comments and then on my tweets when I have Caden Boozer starting at the one. And here's why I have that right away. It's because Caden Boozer was the first one to announce he was coming back to Duke. It was going to be like if he was not going to be guaranteed a spot, he would not have jumped the gun to be the first guy to come back. And the last guy to announce he was coming back was Caleb Foster. He was at the very end of coming back the announcements. And because in my opinion, that was the one that he had to really think about. Do I take a lesser role at Duke as a senior and come back, or do I go elsewhere to be a guy that's a guaranteed starting spot? If that was the case, he would enter the portal immediately instead of waiting as long as he did. So I have Caden Boozer starting because of that. And then I have John Blackwell at the two, Dame Sarr at the three, similar predicament with like, was he going, he was more so, am I going to test the NBA and stay or come back to Duke? He's not coming back to Duke, come off the bench. So
He's
three,
theoretically the third safe one, right? Like when I say
yeah,
Blackwell and Big Pat are starters, I think I'd be very surprised if Dame's not there.
it
But
would, yeah.
I mean, like the path there would just be. I mean, is there any world they're playing Blackwell like at the three to jam Caden and another guard, or I don't know,
That's
Bryson Howard just really good?
that's the thing where it gets complicated where people I've seen fans overthink too much, but again, it's the off season. You're allowed to do that to make these scenarios. But it'd be like Caden Caleb Blackwell, even though Blackwell said publicly he came to Duke to be an
Point guard.
all. Yeah, so he's not gonna play the three as a starter. So Sarr at the three. Four is up in the air because I would pencil in. You go back and forth, Cam Williams and Boom Boom. But for this sake, let's go Cam Williams. Say Boom Boom 16. It's going to take him a little bit longer to get developed, so he's going to come off the bench. And the five,
Starnowski in the mix there too.
nah, I think he's
He's a
strictly
bench
like
guy.
like a 15 minutes per game guy.
Okay.
So so I'll run it from the top again. Caden Blackwell, Dame Sarr, Cam Williams, Pat Gungba starting five.
Okay. So
So
that gives us bench wise Rippy,
yep,
Foster,
yep,
Howard.
yep.
And then do you put Wilkins in the lineup or do you do the two bench bigs?
I think the two bench bigs. Wilkins still has to carve out a role. So I'm going Sharnowski at the four, and then
And
because
boom,
he's
boom.
6'9", and Boom Boom at the five.
I mean, that team is definitely better than Kentucky right now, right?
Yeah, I
Just
trolled about like the
unbiasedly, I like who on the Cam Williams is their starting three. He's not starting on this Duke team.
yeah. I obviously I trolled about like the alternate line, but I do think Duke is going to be favored. Like the bench for Duke would be favored by probably 5 points against Kentucky's current starting five. Yeah, Duke's favored by far.
I mean, I guess you could make the pitch to me that like Zoom Diallo and Alex Wilkins are one of or both better than the Duke bench guards. But like
You
if Duran
could.
if Duran Rippey's on Kentucky, he's the starting point guard.
That and also Caleb Foster was the best on-ball defender against opposing point guards all year. He held Jeremy Fears over at home. Darius Acuff couldn't get it going late in the second half because of
Yeah.
Caleb Foster. So it's just like you're having this guy that is known for his experience to be an elite defensive player guarding your best offensive players.
Yeah. I think the only spot where Kentucky would guaranteed start is Malachi Moreno over the Duke bench bigs. And I think you could make the argument Zoom Diallo would start somewhere, but not necessarily at point guard over Rippey. But like I think Duke has the next five best players there compared to Kentucky's third best play. It's crazy. This is as much about Kentucky as it is about Duke, I think. And I don't mean to just pile on Kentucky fans, but I just found that tweet really interesting. I, Here's my thing. It's probably the deepest team ever. Like the platoon Kentucky team, probably that is how far you have to go back for a team whose 11th guy was like Sebastian Wilkins.
Yeah, yeah, no, this is a very deep team, and obviously, like I do think people have jumped the gun because on paper it's a deep team, but once the ball is you roll the ball on the court, it's just like you got to see it because it could all blow up and the freshmen don't look like freshmen and the 16-year-old is playing like a 16-year-old, and that's just in the Belmont transfer, it's too big of a jump for him. So it's just like there are, as much as I want to jump on board and say this is a deep team, there are some questions I still have. But again, the only way those get answered is by them playing. And then by that point, I could jump on board.
Well, and you got to pick five, right? Because that's where I get a little lost. And the reason we picked this framing for this video, I think, is because the strength of this team on paper to me right now is the depth and how interchangeable it is,
Yeah.
which is awesome for talking points until you get to a tournament game with 40 minutes on the clock and you need five players on the floor.
Yeah.
Like it right because right now in May we don't know the difference between their third and their 10th guy. Like guys got to merge, and I think they will. To be clear, like I think there's plenty of options that should be studly by the time we get to postseason play. But to bring back that other hypothetical I raised at the beginning of this, like you lose me comparing them to the historically great teams, or even just this year. Why aren't they the consensus preseason number one? Who knows? Maybe they should be, but it's because we don't know who the best player even is on this team. We think it's Blackwell. Maybe you think it's Big Pat. Are either of those guys ACC Player of the Year candidates?
I mean, I would put Blackwell in the conversation just because I think he could turn into that with like
Yeah.
Shire's development stuff. But yeah, I'm with you. Like I'm with you for questioning, like having questions. I just because I've been that fan like a decade ago where I was very invested in the off season. Like Duke landed a 5-star. I was up in like I was very excited when I was a teenager, and now that I've grown up and I've seen all the jokes about Duke getting all these 5-stars, haven't won it since 2015. I understand it. It's hard to win a national championship, but that's also why I'm not jumping to conclusions that Duke's going to be cutting down the nets because of a potential loaded roster.
Yeah. And like, I mean, again, it's going to be about development and some of these young guys. Like, what are they? What is Rippy? What is Cam Williams? Are they legitimate lottery pick studs or are they guys that need a little more time? I don't think I know the answer. I do think we'll see the best version of Blackwell that we've seen. I know you've heard me make this point before, but like it's kind of funny to be doing the like historical hypotheticals with this team when I don't think they have a guy that would have been Wisconsin's best player last year.
Yeah, I've heard. Yep, you've made that point, and it hurts my feelings a little bit, Greg. But you're right. You're in your right to say that. But I will. I'll go to bat for Blackwell, and and I quote tweeted this because I watched the High Point Wisconsin game. I forgot about like the turnover in the backcourt that was Blackwell that led High Point winning the game, and Wisconsin fans were like, "This is a perfect marriage." And like I quote tweeted it, a double negative equals a positive. Made a mistake and it lost the game. Duke made mistakes against UConn, lost the game. Two negatives equal a positive, and that's why Duke's going to cut down the nets. Not because of a loaded roster, just two negatives equal a positive. And last thing I have, Greg, Kentucky in this hypothetical has Zoom Diallo. Duke has Zoom Zoom with Rippy and Boom Boom with Joaquim. So give me
Yeah.
Duke over Kentucky in this hypothetical.
It's a pretty great nickname team all time. It really is. There's a bunch of guys you can go through here. Even Big Pat's a fun one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm in a weird in between spot because I feel like I'm on record plenty of times being like Shire's just gonna win soon. Like he's going to get one.
Yeah.
With this specific team, I've got him like second or third. I haven't decided yet. Probably second. I think I like this roster better than Illinois right now.
Yeah.
Um, but like. Yeah, I don't. Then you ask me, like, okay, last year's Duke team versus this team head to head. I would take last year's pretty comfortably, I think.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was the same way about last year's team from the previous year.
To
And
this year, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, like Cam Boozer's not gonna be like what Cooper, like Duke just did not win a national championship with Cooper Flag. Like Cam Boozer's not gonna be as good as Cooper Flag. Obviously, we saw what happened and he was awesome. And that's kind of where I'm at with this year. It's like, yeah, do I see do I see some pieces that are question marks? Yes, but just like last year, like Dame Sarr was a very quite like he had ups and downs. Nick Kamenia, the roster wasn't perfect necessarily, but they got the job done winning 35 games. You just see, I will give Shire and his staff so much credit that they really do develop their players within the season. Even Flag, who shot like 30% from three the first half of the season. ACC play shot 40+% from three. Knipple was not a good 3-point shooter or consistent until January. Like these guys, those are the two main guys for that team. But that's what I'm saying is from top to bottom, the staff really develops the guys. And so this hypothetical roster, as good as they look on paper, they will be better as the season progresses next year.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. And normally I shrug aside any of the our bench would do this. This team, you can actually do it. It's probably one of the best looking benches on paper we've seen in this sport in like a decade.
Yeah, I agree.